waiting on this fight for a long time, man. God, it's finally here.
So what is this, UFC versus YouTube part 2?
Yeah. Real UFC fighter that was actually a champion and fought more than 5 fights versus 3-0 YouTuber. Yeah, that's where we're at.
So Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley.
Yes, sir.
What are you predicting? Will it be a controversial finish?
So it feels like it could be lined up for something like that, because here's the thing. And we know how the media likes to work. And, once we put this on the lineup and we were actually, digging through it, it was like, okay, so there was the Logan and the Floyd fight. And people say, oh, Floyd knocked him out on the script or whatever it was, held him up, continued it for the dollars, whatever it may be. But then you flip over to Jake now, who hasn't really had a controversial career once you actually look at it, because once I looked into his fights, I mean, he's beat the dude straight up. He's called out reputable guys. He called out Woodley before he fought Askren. Then he beat Askren. And I want to say this fight is happening because Woodley was like, oh, yeah, if you beat Ben, I'll fight you. And now here we are. So I could see a controversial ending. Maybe it's like a cheap shot or something. I don't know. But it's involving a Paul brother. It's a lot of publicity. We've seen a lot of coverage from, I think Fight Hype it was. So we've seen a lot going into it. But overall, I could see a controversial ending. But I'd love to see just a slobber knock or just a straight up knockout from one guy to the other. But I'll say my prediction for the end.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any controversy happening in it just because of the mere fact of the type of fighter Tyron Woodley is.
Right.
He's not a boxer.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that he was a much better UFC fighter.
Right.
He's got credentials and all of that, but have you watched him standing up boxing? It's not going to really be a fight like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, for one, starters, he's only 5'9". He's already giving up a lot of height and reach and size.
Yep.
Which what we saw, that was a problem even for Floyd, who is arguably the greatest boxer of all time, fighting against the other Paul brother, who is not as polished a boxer as Jake is.
Yep.
And he had an issue with it. It was too much size. So, I mean, Tyron Woodley, he's heavier than Floyd, but he's not really any taller or longer. He's got similar credentials as far as his height and his length. He's not going to be able to get in. Jake Paul is actually a pretty decent fighter.
Right.
Definitely fighting against someone who's not a boxer. If you watch all of Tyron Woodley's fights, his striking, he hits really hard.
Yeah.
But he's a wild swinger. He swings wide. And when he's in boxing form, his guard is down. Mm-hmm. He's not protecting, and he's not that long. Mm-hmm. You're fighting against someone that's got a crazy reach advantage, and you have an issue with putting your left hand up while you're trying to swing one of these wild rights. Like that could be a recipe for Tyron to get slept real quick, and you'd be like, oh, now he beat somebody with some credentials.
Yep.
When in all actuality, this dude ain't no boxer either. It's just, it looks better on the resume because he's chiseled.
Yep.
He's fought some more reputable fighters, but at the end of the day, he's not a boxer.
Yep.
He's just not. It's not a good look for him.
Right.
So, I mean, as far as your prediction, do you think they go more than 3 rounds?
I think this is a 3-round or less fight between.
How many rounds are they fighting?
I think they're fighting 8. I want to say I saw an 8-round fight.
Okay.
Don't remember the minutes per round, but 10-ounce gloves. I want to say using 10-ounce gloves. But so let's talk about it potentially going longer than 3 rounds. I don't think that's capability at all. I think between the power of Jake, the power of Tyron, the intensity between these two guys. I mean, they've been fuming to get in the ring. We've never seen Jake go the distance. Jake hasn't fought past, was it a 3rd-round knockout against Nate Robinson? I think something like that. He's never went an extreme distance in a fight. We know that for a fact. And if that was a possibility with this, which I don't think it is, who knows if Jake could hang in there? I think Tyron would have the advantage in that aspect, but I don't see this being a long fight. I mean, maybe a 3rd-round finish, but I think it goes no further than that. Honestly, I think there's so much tension, so much aggression in this, and going to be kind of a big fight. I mean, for the sport of boxing, yeah, it's not going to be major in terms of the big headlines we're talking about, but I think it's going to get a decent buy-in, and people are going to be here for it.
You're going to absolutely get a really good buy-in. I think as far as the 3rd round thing, I think they will go past 3 rounds, but not much farther. Mm-hmm. I think maybe 5th round, I think you get a 5th round Jake Paul knockout. Mm-hmm. I don't think Woodley is big enough and a polished enough boxer to beat Jake, and it's really just going to fuel the fire to like, well, who's he going to fight next? till they eventually actually put a real boxer in the ring with him.
Yep.
He's been training for a long time. He may not be a contender in his actual weight class, but he's actually a decent fighter, and he's not fighting boxers.
Exactly.
These UFC dudes can't beat him if they're not allowed to kick and grab. It's like, I mean, and then he's fighting dudes that are way smaller than him. It's not even like he's fighting people in his weight class.
Yep.
So it just is not fair, for one. But it's like, all right, he's so much more of an athlete, he should be able to beat him. It's like, well, the rules are fixed as such to where his athleticism really doesn't mean much. I mean, Nate Robinson was way more of an athlete than Jake Paul. And we see he went to sleep just like Manny did against Marquez. I mean, it was disgusting.
Yep.
So I think Sunday night, we're going to see a whole bunch more memes, a whole lot more talk.
Oh, boy.
And more hype. And please let Snoop commentate it. Why didn't he do the last one? I was looking forward to Snoop.
I agree.
I need to hear Snoop singing.
I agree. Snoop does make it. Snoop does make it. I can't lie about that.
Bring Snoop back. I don't know if we need to do what is the little petition thing? It was like change.org. They always send that crap. Sign the petition.
Like a GoFundMe for money, change.org, just sign it here. Wow, yeah. Okay. Wow, didn't know it was that easy, but then again, I'm kind of dumbfounded knowing that. All right. All right, man.
Somebody start it up. I'll sign it.
All right, there we go.